So this video is going to cover a brief introduction into seventh chords. A seventh chord can easily be constructed by adding a stacked third on top of a triad. So as you can see here on the screen, I have a C major triad, and in blue I'm just stacking another third on top of the G, of the C major triad. So I put a B on top of it. This works really well if you have a simple spelling of the triad, meaning they're stacked thirds. If you have an inverted triad, or if you have an expanded position of the triad, it won't work necessarily. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm adding the seventh of the triad to it. If the triad is the root 1, 3, 5 of a specific scale, I'm adding the seventh of that scale onto it. Now, as easy as it is to spell them, it's a little more challenging to identify them and all the different variations of seventh chords. For the purposes of this video, this is for my Introduction to Music Theory course. I'm only going to spell about 5 seventh chords, or 5 types of seventh chords, this being the first one. This one, because we want to identify the tonality of the triad as well as the seventh, we call this a major 7 chord. Specifically, it's a C major 7 chord. Some theorists like to spell it out literally, major 7. I'm just abbreviating up here. The first M for the actual triad, the second M for the seventh, and then you write the 7 there. I'm going to write that above, and then below I'll write the pop chord symbols. So the next one, a very popular chord, call this the dominant chord as well. Notice that we have a B flat instead. I stacked the seventh on top again, a B, but I flatted it. So now we have this tonal relationship of a minor seventh between the root and the seventh chord. So we call this a major minor 7th chord, or the pop symbol, just a C7. Next one, let me keep that B flat. Oops, that is a B flat. Apologize about my sloppiness. With an E flat. So now we change the modality of the triad. Now we have a minor 7th chord. Those are 2 lowercase m's, in case you're wondering. Minor 7th chord. Minor triad with a minor 7th stacked on top of it. Pop symbol, or one of the variations of the pop chord symbol, I like writing C min, abbreviation for minor 7. This kind of leaves the guesswork out. So I've seen, just for clarity, I've seen this before as well. Minus 7. If you are interested in jazz music, you will find this chord symbol notating for this type of chord in a lot of fake books. This works too, but just for clarification's sake, I like writing it with the M-I-N. It just makes it a little clearer when you're reading on the bandstand late at night with a poorly lit music light. I digress. The next chord, in a different color, again with that minor 7th, but now we have a diminished triad, C, E flat, G flat. This is going to be a diminished minor 7th. And then the last one, we call this the fully diminished 7th chord, if I can squeeze it in here. Notice the double flat on the B. So C, E flat, G flat, that's a diminished triad, but with not a minor 7th, a diminished 7th. So these are the 5 7th chords that I'm going to cover. And I just realized I forgot to put the pop symbols. The diminished minor 7th chord, as far as a pop symbol goes, I've seen it several different ways. I've seen this before. But to understand that little superscript 0 or O, that would donate, without the slash, a fully diminished seventh chord, where half diminished, the slash through it, slash through it means half diminished. That works, but there's another version for this one that actually I tend to prefer. It's a little bit more wordy, but again, I think it makes for more clarification. C minor 7, flat 5. So there you have, in good old C major, I'm sorry, not C major, but in C, rather, 5 seventh chords. Now with any seventh chord, just like in triads, you can write them in different inversions. Instead of having just 2 inversions, you have a third inversion. So I want to give you a couple examples of writing these in inversions and in different keys too, and we'll identify a few seventh chords. Okay, so we have 3 different three different seventh chords on the screen in front of you. Let's look at the first one. Now I wrote these in different inversions, so hopefully this will prove to be helpful. The first one, first off, when you figure out inversions, when you see chords like this, the best thing to do, if you can do it mentally, if not, do it on paper, is to restack them, reorder them, so they're all stacked thirds. So if I rewrote this, that's an E, F, A, C. It's not an E chord, but if we rewrote this and we put the E up here, that might help, because that's reordering them. You still have the same chord, but now that might look a little more easier to read in blue. The first one, so we look at it, it's an F major triad. Look at the relationship of F to E natural, major 7. So that's a major, major 7 chord, specifically an F major, major 7 chord. We just call that F major 7. The second one, again, reordering the notes. If you basically reorder these so that looks to me like if we put the A on the bottom, put the C on top of that, E, and then the G. So now we have stacked thirds, A, C, E, G. That is a minor, minor 7th chord. I found that out because this is an A minor triad. A to G is a minor 7th. Minor triad, minor 7th. Call this an A minor, oops, sorry about that, minor, min, 7. And the last one, albeit a little bit sloppy, if we reorder this, if you drop the E flat down, so let's do that, E flat down here, G, B flat, and then D. Now we have E flat, G, B flat, that's a major triad. E flat to D, major 7th interval. That tells us that is an E flat major 7. So that's just a couple of examples of 7th chords and some inversions.